after being captured and released by the party once they were convinced she was a normal animal, Iolanthe knew that her cat form was no longer adequate to maintain secrecy about her true nature aboard the ship to shop a bit. Quietly, she slinked into the captain's unoccupied quarters where she shifted her wild shape once again to that of a dog. As a dog, her keen sense of smell led her back to the crew quarters and the strongbox beneath one of the beds. Iolanthe clutched the box in her jaw and carried it to another empty room nearby. Without hands, she could not open the box to investigate its contents. Making her way above deck, Iolanthe garnered the assistance of kind Tess, who asked Misku to kindly see to this strongbox latch. Therein, the friends found the missing earring, but with no idea to whom the box belonged. Rek performed his ritual to communicate with the dog, and through their shared understanding, he learned that the box belonged to Dreia Blackstrand. Finally, the party had a suspect in the thievery. It would seem that she is caught red-handed. Welcome back to New Dalancia, our Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition campaign. I'm your most gracious DM, VGpunx. With us as always is the party. Let's go ahead and swap scenes to the gallery, or the galleon, sorry, not the gallery at all. Fucking up words. And we'll get some mood music. No, just ambience, actually. No mood music. Hopefully everyone can hear the open ocean, and if you can, then when we left off, Tess, Rek, and Iolanthe, you guys were discussing the newly acquired strongbox from underneath Dreia Blackstrand's head. You just learned that the box belongs to Dreia, and you've definitely seen her a few times aboard the ship, wearing a lot of jewelry, whatnot. This case would seem to be open and shut. Points to her, right?
Hey, thanks for that subscription, Psycon.
Yeah, thanks, Psycon.
Back to in character, Tess clears her throat. Now, the only other thing to do is really figure out how we're going to approach finding out who stole it without saying that we went through their belongings. Because that does look a little suspect to Tess.
Rek, you are still able to understand Iolanthe. Iolanthe, just letting you know.
Well, we could just put the box back and said dog sniffed it.
That is an amazing plan. Rek, you are a genius. Let us go ahead and put everything back where we found it.
I do not grant wishes.
Iolanthe gets really antsy, like, wait, you have to put the earring somewhere where he can find it so he doesn't think that somebody stole it.
Just based off of what Rex says here, Tess thinks we put the earring back in the box, put the box back where our puppy friend found it, bring our puppy friend up to sniff both Bagram and Dreia, say it as part of our investigation, and then have our puppy friend sniff it all out. That way it appears legit, and that we did not go through somebody's personal belongings.
Okay, so we're not gonna put the earring back under Bagram's pillow?
Because then that might draw suspicion as to how the earring got outside of the box when Dreia knew full well, and we also need to be able to prove that Dreia was the one that stole the earring. Correct?
All right, it's not as funny, but I understand.
Iolanthe kind of droops her head and she's like, but you don't want people retaliating against each other on a ship. You don't want any people going at each other's throats.
I'd like the three of you to roll a perception check, please.
The dog is very concerned that we may start a fight.
A fight.
Is this a smell-based
so?
perception?
It seems like
Yeah.
it's
it
going to
is.
make Bagram and Dreia have animosity towards each other.
Oh, and they each have friends that they're probably closer with each other then, correct?
Plus, if he finds his earring, he may leave the little one alone.
And the dog says, if he finds his earring, he may leave the little one alone. What?
I believe the dog is talking about Adam. There's this man. Tess is not sure if you've met
This
them.
is a very perceptive dog.
Tess is getting the feeling that dogs are actually much smarter than she originally anticipated. And where have you been this entire time, puppy? Tess is gonna reach out and scratch underneath the dog's chin. Close that.
Iolanthe leans into the scritch.
Oh, what a sweet puppy. Then perhaps maybe hiding the earring underneath Bogram's pillow might be the way to do it. We did just start our journey, and throwing somebody in the brig this early does not make Tess feel comfortable.
Iolanthe, if I could draw your attention to your Discord chat, your PMs.
Iolanthe's ears suddenly perk up real high, and she starts sniffing around like someone's coming.
Dog says somebody's coming. We gotta go.
Bark.
Tess, I guess, is going to pick up the box and move into this room.
All right. Do you leave the door open?
Rick lets the dog go, and
Rec, do you want to come into this room with Tess before she shuts the door?
no, he
Okay.
Rick just goes running up the stairs.
Okay. Tess is going to shut the door, and then she's going to kick the box underneath the bed and then climb into the bed.
As you actually go ahead and roll a dexterity check for me. Make it a save, as a matter of fact. Let's make it a save. I think they're still the same numbers, but just go ahead and roll it as a save. Oh!
No, I'm going to call in the rule of inspiration here. And I'm going to try to re-roll that, if that's okay.
Yeah, you can go ahead. You can give him your inspiration.
I'll take that. That's better than a 1.
Okay, an 11. As you come up the stairs, you almost run into the very person that you have determined.
Wait, up the
Hey.
stairs? I didn't go up the stairs. Was it me that was supposed to roll? Because I'm in the room with the door shut.
No, I'm sorry, that was Rec. Rec was
Okay,
supposed to
I
roll.
shouldn't. Okay, I get my inspiration back.
Yeah, don't
That's my
waste your
bad.
inspiration. This is me, and I choose not to spend an inspiration because this is funnier.
Okay.
Oh my god.
As you walk
As I
up the
go-
stairs,
Up the stairs.
you run directly into Dreia Blackstrand. Her jewelry kind of clinks and clanks as you run kind of like chest first right into her. She falls over and lands right on her butt, and you, being sort of the larger mass, kind of are standing over her now.
I go, oh, sorry. Reach down, pick him up, like grab them by the shoulders, just around the arms, and lift them standing straight up and above, off their feet until they could put their feet down, and then I'll set them down.
Right. Yeah, you help her up. She kind of dusts off.
Sorry about that.
Seems like she's been walking with Santigus here, and they were once again going back and forth as far as you could make out before you ran into them.
And then I continue on like nothing happened.
She watches as you kind of walk off. And continues on down the stairs. Those Santigus here. So, Iolanthe, downstairs, you watch as Santigus and, Dreia, followed by Santigus, come down the stairs and start to make their way back toward the galley.
Iolanthe gets super alert, like she has eyes on Dreia, and she kind of moves a little bit towards the door where Tess is, like she's trying to kind of put herself between the two. But her eyes never leave Dreia.
Santigus actually, I want to say locks eyes with you, but you notice Santigus looking at you, and immediately Dreia stops in her tracks. Santigus circles around her toward you and leans down or kneels down on a knee and reaches out toward your face.
Like, is he... Okay, when you say reaches out towards my face, do you mean like he's trying to pet me or like something else?
Roll an insight check.
As a wolf? I mean, as a dog? Okay. Oh.
Yo!
While this happened very quickly and you almost had no time to react whatsoever, you do notice that his demeanor is calm and that he appears to be smiling. And as he reaches in toward the sides of your face, he says, "Oh, this looks like a right strong shipdog." And he starts to kind of frizzle your hair on your cheeks.
She kind of begrudgingly lets him do that. But in her, like, dog mind, she's going, that is not how you pet a dog.
He looks you up and down a little bit and goes, "You hungry, old girl?"
Iolanthe kind of stares at him for a second, and then she's kind of like, well, you know, why not? And she wags her tail a little bit.
"Come on." And he goes through the door to the south here. Dreia, in a very close tow, sits down at one of the tables just near the stove where he starts to get to work.
Iolanthe kind of glances at the door where Tess is and then follows.
Tess, you hear these, actually, what are you doing in the room, Tess?
She's just been kind of sitting there, waiting for the sound of voices to disappear, because now I guess the mission here is to get the box back where we found it and hide the earring under the pillow.
So, you hear these voices for a few moments. You can't really make out what they say. It's kind of muffled. But a few seconds later, the voices seem to dissipate and fade off as though they are moving away from the near vicinity.
Tess is going to open the door and kind of peek out.
You don't see anything. You do see that the door to the galley is open.
Are any of these
And
other doors currently open?
it looks like beyond yeah, actually all 4 of the other doors surrounding you are open, as well as 2 of the doors to the north. It looks like the room at which you are trying to enter is currently open.
Okay. So Tess is going to slink back into the room, and she needs to grab the lockbox from underneath the bed.
Okay.
And she is going to... How big is this lockbox? Are we talking like a small jewelry box? Or like...
Yeah, it's like a small jewelry box size, yeah.
Okay, well, we might have to take Mom's skull out of the bag, but we can probably fit that jewelry box in Tess's current bag.
Oh yeah, you could definitely fit it. Are you trying to fit it like underneath the skull, or how are you doing this?
Yeah, underneath the skull, just for safety purposes, in case anyone were to peek in.
It's probably the first thing that came to mind. And yeah, you're easily able to fit it just underneath the skull without it being too noticeable.
Okay, cool. So she'll leave the room, kind of stop to see if she can see into this door frame.
Are you trying to be like sneakity deekity or like what?
No, she's just walking casually.
Okay, just walking casually.
Yeah.
You've got your mom's skull in tow, and peeking into the room, you see the wolf, or the dog. And just across from the dog, you see Iolanthe there. Off kind of in the corner, you see a figure, looks to be Santigas, who is standing at the stove.
Okay.
They seem to be kind of preoccupied, so they don't, you're not sure if they noticed you or not.
Okay, so Tess is just going to continue walking along. Stop at this door frame right here.
To the left of you, all of these people seem to be asleep.
Are they asleep in are these like open hammock rooms?
Yes, that's
Okay.
right. So there are a bunch of sleeping bags kind of strung up, or not sleeping bags. There are a bunch of hammocks strung up, and they're all sort of on one of the hammocks.
Okay, as Tess strolls along, she's actually going to kind of put her hand on her mom's skull. But that's kind of, I think that's the length that I can walk. Hang on. Yes, okay. So she's walking casually. So this is the end of my turn here.
Okay. Did you open that door right there?
Nope.
Or was that already open? Okay. Inside that
It
room,
was
there
already
is
open. Yeah.
You can see right through the door that there is a bed off to the right and off to your right, and there is a desk on the far wall. Otherwise, you know that the room just north of here is the one that you're trying to get to.
Okay.
Right. Let's see. Real quick. Cool. All right, go ahead. You're wanting to go the rest of the way, yeah?
I didn't know if somebody else wanted to turn, like if there was anyone else, because like Ianfear hasn't really, said what he's doing, and I figured we would check in with the rest of the crew and see what everyone else is up to.
Okay. Yeah. So, Ianfear, you had just seen Santigas and Dreia go downstairs. Just like before, when you saw them previously, they were kind of locked in conversation, kind of laughing it up. They seem to be friends, if anything.
Well, after the mishap with wild magic, Aimfear's going to head to the gallery in order to get a little comfort food.
All right. As you step downstairs, you can you immediately get the catch the scent of something that's being cooked. As well, you can probably hear the sizzle from there, albeit faint. You also see Tess, who is lined up in front of a doorway.
Hmm. Alright, yeah.
Tess, you see Enfear come down the stairs, kind of tromping.
It's what, like afternoon time? Is it still morning?
Should be afternoon.
Good day, Ian Fear. Tess is gonna wave.
Oh, hi. Glad to be able to see you again.
That was a wild ride, thank you. Tess has never experienced anything like that before.
As you finish your sentence, one of the crew sits up in his hammock and says, "Let's see. Would you mind? People are sleeping."
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. He kind of scuttles off to lay back down in his hammock.
Tess walks over to him and then leans over and gives him a kiss on the forehead and says, "Sweet dreams."
What in the hell?
Shh. Sweet dreams. She whispers, "Sweet dreams," and then she, like, pets his head.
I want you to go ahead and roll a performance check. What the fuck?
Can I see this?
Now I would like you to go ahead and roll an intimidation check.
Well, can I see this though?
Yeah?
You know what? So to the intimidation, I'm actually gonna use my hang on. I'm gonna use my bend luck skill. Let me
Okay.
see. Okay, so spending 2 sorcery points, and I will to the intimidation. I'm gonna add a D4 to it.
Go ahead and roll your d4.
Sorry.
Are you
give me
all
one.
right? Are
You
you
all right there,
dying?
man?
I was snacking on something when she did this, so started coming back up.
I mean, it's what Tess's mom would have done to get her back to sleep, right? Okay, so should I have rolled advantage on this intimidation check? Because I am a tiefling with a skull hanging out of my fucking bag.
Yeah, go ahead and roll a second time. God damn it.
An 18 for
Dude.
the intimidation.
Dude should just close his eyes and pretend I go away because I'm pretty much the boogeyman at this point.
I'll let you keep the 17. He sort of like sinks into his hammock, and he's like, "Okay."
Yes, ma'am.
He looks absolutely petrified.
Tess looks a little confused. And then she kind of pats him gently and says, "Good night, sweet prince." And then she's gonna walk back up the hallway.
In fear, you don't notice any movement from the hammock, but you definitely hear some irregular breathing coming from that direction.
All Alright, yeah, Evenfier's just gonna head towards the gallery.
The galley.
The galley.
We keep calling it that. I
imagine-
like to
so-
imagine it's just a room full of pictures. Of food.
Somebody
Yeah, no,
somebody
it's-
needs to hang up a bunch of portraits of food in the galley so we can call it the gallery galley.
The
As
gallery.
you approach the door, you see what appears to be a dog, as well as Santigus, who is lined up against lined up at the range top over there. He appears to be cooking something.
I have a question real quick.
What's that?
Before, like, while all this other stuff was going on, while I was in here in the galley with these two, were they having any conversations?
Yeah, absolutely. They've been sort of back and forth with each other, mostly kind of like joking and just talking about the day's events and how tired they are, and small talk like that.
Okay, nothing significant that I know.
Yeah,
of.
nothing really significant, but you can tell just by their dialogue that they are friends, and that this is sort of the banter that they normally are engaged in. But between the two of them, they appear to be friends.
Gotcha. I'm just gonna kind of lay on the floor, kind of like watching him cook and just with my ears perked up listening.
So they continue on. Again, just kind of going back and forth with a lot of small talk and talking about the day and how hard the work is on board the ship and that sort of thing. Ian Fear, as you stroll in, you probably catch this conversation between the two, and you know what? Actually, at one point, Santigus stops what he's cooking. He moves the pan off the heat and starts to spoon up some of this food into a bowl. He peers over his shoulder toward Iolanthe and goes, and places this bowl on the floor. Come here, girl.
Iolanthe kind of slowly walks over towards him, and as she passes Dreia, she kind of gives her the side eye, like the Sammy side eye.
Dreia doesn't seem to acknowledge it in any way.
I come up to what's his name? Santigus?
Santigus, yes.
Santigus. I come up to him and sit.
He paces over 5 feet and sets the bowl down next to the stove. After that, he proceeds to go back to his pan, which he's removed from the heat, and dishes out these plates of some kind of, I'd call it a goulash. Honestly, it's sort of a mixture of vegetables and meat and some kind of sauce. It's the same thing that he's put into your dish.
Okay. I take one bite and kind of chew it thoughtfully, and then I pause, and then I just start horking it down like there is no food left in the world.
Tastes pretty good. Kind of bland, but pretty good. It's very filling, however. Lots of vegetables. Before long, he turns around and places a plate in front of Dreia, another across the table from her, and at this point, he looks at you, Ian Fear, and gets a little bit of a surprised look on his face. I do apologize. I didn't realize you were here. Are you hungry?
Oh, don't worry about me. I'm just grabbing me something before I go back to some studies.
Sure. Hot and fresh. I could easily make myself something too.
I mean, I don't want to be a bother.
No bother at all. But get hungry, you let me know. He goes and sits down at the table, sets the plate in front of him. And the two continue to sort of exchange with one another over their meal. So one will take a few bites while the other talks, and they'll... again, it's nothing but kind speech to each other, and, you know, just kind of talking about work on the ship, and that's about the extent of what they get into. Miscu, Serene, you guys notice that Val steps down from atop the aft castle, and Terry is once again taking the helm. He starts to sort of walk up and down the deck of the ship, just kind of casually.
Serena's actually going to head downstairs and get a bite to eat.
And Miscu's still at the front of the ship, just taking practice swings with their club, taking breaks every second, a couple seconds to look up for some seagulls or just look at the view.
All right. So it's around, I want to say midday at this point. Serena, are you trying to go to the galley on the mid deck or the one below deck here?
I was trying to go to the one above, or not the one at the very bottom.
Just trying to figure out where everyone is.
Yeah. Going to the one at the mid deck.
Yeah, as you come to the crew quarters or the crew deck here, you can definitely hear banter coming from the aft side of the ship. And as you enter, you see Ian Fear set at a table with a couple of the other crew sitting across from each other. I think you heard their names before, but one is Santigas and the other one is...
Mm-hmm. Okay. Serena's going to fly over, and it looks like there's food already on the table. Is that real, or is that just part of the...
I'd say there's food around the room in general. There are crates full of things like fruits and vegetables. There is probably, maybe a barrel or something like that may have some various meat in it that is preserved and just kind of in storage for cooking on the sea here. There's probably fish. I mean, there's definitely fish.
Okay, Serene is going to look around and get little fruits, tiny fruits, maybe blueberries or raspberries, whatever is available.
Sure. Yeah, you're able to find. There's a bin that has some various berries all kind of thrown in together.
Okay, so she's gonna grab some of that. And is there any milk in this?
Sure. Yeah, you're able to find milk.
Okay,
Yeah.
So she's gonna grab just like a little, as much as her tiny arms can carry, and kind of fly over to where she was sitting before, and she's carrying so much that it's kind of like weighing her down. So she's not flying as high as she was previously. And then sit down and eat.
Okay. You place, so Ian Fear, Serene comes over and places all of this, this selection, I guess, in front of her.
Almost like a little charcuterie.
Yep, starts to chow down. It's got a lot of probably raw stuff on there, vegetables and berries and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So you're probably picking up on the conversation between the two of these, and at one point it actually does go into the realm of, yeah, I hear we're headed to shop a bit. Sort of peers over at you in fear. Why Shopabin? What's there?
Well, it's my home for one place.
All right. Well, that defeats my next question of whether you ever been there before. I never have.
Well, it is certainly not like what you have seen from.
You all right?
And then he chokes on a berry.
I'm just getting all choked up thinking about this shopping. But it's definitely not like what you've seen in. If you've ever been through any of the major cities from.
Drea looks up at Santigas and kind of leans in, says, I heard that it's an elvish town. Yeah, I've heard about the tall city elves and their buildings. This would be interesting. Definitely looking forward to the pay most of all.
In the meantime, though, tell me a little bit about you guys. I mean, I only recently traveled, and I mean, only recently was in, just through the likes of Bunavar and whatnot, but almost exclusively through my life, I was in Malia.
Malia, eh? Well, that's right where we're going. Seems like a lot, though, to purchase your own ship just to get back home. You been gone long?
Oh, I mean, it has been a while, but I'm not just, it's not like it's just, getting a bit of homesick. I should say that this is a little bit of an official business thing for me because he's gonna pull out his papers that show, it's sort of like a signature of from the basically one of the it's called the president for Shabavan, and say I'm actually here as a diplomat.
A diplomat. I suppose I could see that.
Well, I mean, it's nothing official, obviously. Nothing that can be, nothing that can be acknowledged. But it was sort of as a favor because I was basically the most junior member to come.
Drea looks up at you and if I'm sorry, if I may, I heard you were well, heroes, and that you worked with Kimram Godbury on the expedition to Dentherum. Is that true?
Well, I mean, we did travel with them on the expedition, that's true.
Santigas kind of cocks his eyebrow at you a bit. But this trip, it isn't any kind of like royal business or anything.
Hmm. I mean, it's not for me to say. I'm just one of the I'm one of the people who sort of planned the trip, but ultimately that falls down to the captain.
Let's see. Well, I'm sure you all have your reason. Drea sort of just goes back to eating, does Santigas. They, again, occasionally look up at one another and exchange random banter. Belvillan, circling around to the main mast, starts to ring the bell for the next shift to come up. Going to do a little bit of, well, actually, do this. So one by one, the crew goes below deck. And they're going to be replaced by their shift. Anybody else taking actions?
I think Iolanthe is trying to stay alert with these two, but after a while she realizes that she's really bored, and so she decides to leave and kind of wander the ship.
Okay. So, yeah, you're probably seeing the changing of the crew here as all of the crew from above deck are coming down below to swap out with a... Putting that B here.
Was
Perfect.
Tess able to get into the room?
Nope, Tess has not made it to that room yet.
Nope, kind of walking down the hall after the exchange with one of the crew members. Some of the crew from above deck starts to pass by you and make their way toward their beds. After they finish up their meal, Santigas and Dreia leave the galley and also approach that same room. So Tess, you watch them both walk in, sort of making banter on their way there.
Okay, well that confirms what room they were staying in because Tess had no fucking idea.
Iolanthe comes up to Tess and kind of sits in front of her and kind of just stares at her, and then at the bag, and then at her.
Looking at the dog, Tess is going to kind of like think to herself for a moment before saying, Tess isn't sure if you can understand, but follow me, puppy. And we're going to head to this room with the map in it. Just for some privacy.
You guys enter that room, and as you do, you hear footsteps once again from out in the hall. There is a sort of panicked breathing as Dreia emerges from that room. She looks around, looks to be in a panic, and starts heading toward the stairs.
Can we see this? Or do we just hear
Yes.
the footsteps? Okay.
Yeah, you can see it. You have a clear sight of it from where you're at.
Okay. This may sound crazy, but Rick definitely made it seem like you can understand what Tess is saying. We have a chance here to put this lockbox back where you found it, and then throw the earring maybe underneath Bogram's bed instead of the pillowcase. Is Tess losing her mind? And she, like, stares at the dog in front of her.
Iolanthe kind of like tilts her head like back and forth several times as she's talking with her little ears flopping to the sides. And then she kind of nudges at the bag with her nose.
Here, and Tess is going to reach into her bag, and she's going to give Iolanthe the lockbox. Can Iolanthe carry this jewelry box?
Sure.
Okay. Tess needs you to go put this back where you found it. Tess will try to follow you in and toss the earring underneath the bed so we can both make it out at the same time.
Just to be clear, we saw Dreia leave the room, but we didn't see Sentigas leave it, right?
No.
No, there are people in there, but hopefully they're asleep.
Iolanthe kind of whines a little bit and like looks over at the door and then back at Tess.
If you don't think this is a good idea, puppy, you need to tell Tess now, because Tess is bad at these kind of things.
Where did Dreia go? She went upstairs?
Yeah,
In
she
a
went
panic.
upstairs.
Okay. Iolanthe thinks for a moment and then like nudges at the bag and like taps her paw in front of her and like nudges at the floor in front of her.
Can you both, including Ian Fear, go ahead and roll a perception check, please?
Is mine at advantage or no?
Yes. Okay, one moment.
Why is it not showing up?
I see it.
Yeah, I see it.
I'm not.
All right, there you go in your Discord chat.
Okay.
Oh,
Now,
hang
Iolanthe
on.
can't say someone's coming again because Rex's not here, but she kind of like looks down the hall with her ears perked forward and her nose flaring, and she looks over at Tess with that kind of like almost panicky look.
Yes, Tess hears that too. Here,
It
just
sounds
act,
like-
act normal.
It sounds like panicked voices.
Okay. Has Tess taken the box out of the bag yet?
Nope, not yet. I have not placed it on the ground. Tess was about to reach into her bag when she heard that someone was coming.
Okay.
Act normal, and Tess is going to look over the map that's spread out on the table.
Ian Fear, what are you up to?
Iolanthe's gonna start rolling on her back and kicking her feet in the air.
I mean, Ian Fair was getting ready to head back up the stairs.
As you're just about to head up the stairs, you see the captain come down, as well as Dreia Blackstrand, who is very panicked and following behind him. You overhear her sort of whispering, not very softly, but you know, to Antarius, just trying to keep her voice down for the most part, so that I guess others are not like in her business. But she is explaining to Antarius that my strongbox is missing. It's very important to me. And they continue toward the room. Dreia leads the way into the room, followed by Antarius. They vanish into
Ian
that
is
side
also
room.
going to start to follow.
As soon as they get out of the side of the hallway, Iolanthe comes over to Tess and starts frantically nudging at her bag, like poking at it frantically with her nose.
What is it, puppy? Do you want the lockbox?
Bark.
Assuming that's a yes, Tess is going to take the strongbox out of her bag and place it on the ground.
Yolanthe's going to scoop it up in her mouth and kind of look at Tess, and she's going to wink with the orange eye.
Tess feels like she can trust this dog a lot, especially after the wink. That was very charismatic.
So she's
luck,
gonna
puppy
kind
friend.
of poke her head. She's got the box in her mouth now. She's gonna kind of poke her head out the doorway to see if anybody's in the hallway.
So just to be clear, the earring is still in the strongbox.
That's correct.
Yeah, Tess never took it out, so it's still in there.
Okay. So she's
Around the
gonna...
corner, you can see Ian Fear and an approaching Val Phelan, as well as it looks as though some of the various sailors who are in their hammocks have started to awaken and are looking on to see what's going on.
Okay. Yolanthe's gonna try to come out of the room real, like, subtly so that they don't actually see her come out of the room, so that nobody sees Tess. So I don't know if I need to roll a stealth check or not.
Sure, you can roll a stealth check for that.
Maybe I shouldn't have said that.
19.
Okay, is that...
You're you're doing your best to be sneaky.
Okay, so I'm gonna kind of sneak my way down the hallway towards the doorway. And then I'm gonna come up behind, like, where Ian Fear is. And then I'm gonna enter, like, puppy play mode, where I, like, do this little woof around the box and do a play bow with my tail wagging like crazy. And, like, trying to kind of, like, shake the box like it's a toy.
As you sneak down the hall, you definitely notice that people's eyes lock onto you as you're coming down. It's very lit up in this hallway, so you don't really have any kind of like cover or anything to hide in.
Can they see the box too?
Yeah, they can see the box too.
Okay, well then yeah, I'm definitely doing like, look, I found a toy, and shaking it, like rattling it.
Oh my god,
Ian
that's
Fear's
amazing.
Ian Fear's going to kind of turn around to look at me and oh, hello there. Boy, girl, whichever.
Woof.
What do you got there? And then sort of starts with sort of like the head pat as though, you know, to go to give like, you know, the ruffles and the soothing head pat while reaching around to sort of like try to grab at this lockbox.
Iolanthe definitely does the no take only throw thing and like dodges or tries to dodge out of his hand to like play keep away.
And Harriet starts to approach you, Ian Fear, and kind of notices what's going on. Valphalin, approaching from the aft, or coming from the stairs, starts to, what's going on? Having obviously seen Antarius come down with Dreia, Antarius, locking eyes with you and realizing what's transpiring, slides through the door just to your right, and Dreia comes up in tow. Dreia, is this your lock? Yes, that's it.
Iolanthe play bows again and like shakes it in her head again, and then kind of like does this little side skip thing, like she's like, play with me.
So seeing her lockbox, she sort of rifles past everybody and bends down. Can I have that back, please?
Iolanthe's just standing there, like, looking from one person to the next with her tail wagging. And she kind of, like, shakes her head, like, not, like, shakes her head no, but, like, shakes her head to rattle the quote-unquote toy again.
It rattles around, jingling and jangling.
So Tess is going to walk down the hallway and kind of act surprised and say, what exactly is going on here?
Well, it would seem we have a case of a mistaken thievery.
It's a curious little puppy, apparently.
Indeed. I don't remember having a dog on board, but that's beside the point. Dreia, I'm glad you have everything. I'm going to head back above. He proceeds back to the stairs. Disappears. Dreia insists, her hand out, speaking to you, Iolanthe. Can you drop it?
Iolanthe kind of, like, play bows and sets the box down in front of her and kind of nudges it forward, and then, like, keeps looking like she wants to play.
She places a hand on your head as she picks up the box with the other hand. She pats down her tunic and her leggings and draws a key from one of the pockets, places it into the lock and cracks it open. There's immediately a look of shock and disdain as she produces the earring from within the box. She looks around nervously in what seems to be a panic and locks eyes with you, Tess. This is not mine. Can you hear? And starts to hand it to you.
Tess kind of tilts her head to the side and she puts both of her hands up because she's not ready to accept it yet. And she says, "If Tess does not understand if it's not yours, how did it get into your box?"
Can I roll an insight check to see if she seems like she's, like, lying? I don't know.
Yes. You notice that several of the others are awake, and they are all sort of watching what's going down. One by one, as this is happening, some of the other crew slip past you, Ian Fear, and come out of the room to come see what's going on. Rek, you're probably starting to hear this commotion going on just below you. You can often hear the thumping of, like, feet and things like that. This sounds like something's going down.
All right, Rick went to the room because he didn't know where else to go, and he was just gonna wait there. But now that he notices something, he's gonna start making his way down.
What about the other crewmates in the hammocks along this hallway? Are they hearing it? Like, is anyone else from these rooms going to step out into the hallway?
They're all, like, some of them are awake, but they're just kind of watching from where they are.
Yeah, it's like one of those things where you see a car wreck happen, or, you know, you're passing by on traffic.
Yeah, pretty much everybody's rubbernecking.
Can Rex still speak with animals? Or is that worn off already?
That's worn off.
Okay, well, Iolanthe doesn't know that it's worn off, so she's gonna, like, dodge over to Rick and start barking at him. Like, from her perspective, she's filling him in on everything that's happened, but she's just yapping.
So this dog kind of comes up to you, Rack, and is like, everyone hears that. It's very strange.
And I look down at the dog. Reg looks down at the dog like, mm-hmm.
Must be a husky mix.
Yep. Like he totally knows what's understanding, but none.
Balgrim kind of approaches approaches you both from behind, notices his earring.
Before you come to any conclusions, my friend, Tess can assure you there must be an explanation for this. Tess is just also waiting for that explanation.
He says, now I think the explanation's pretty clear. Dreia, you stole my earring. Why? Dreia kind of backs up, puts her hands up. You've got the wrong person.
So I have this ring of truth telling that Tess has had for quite a while that gives advantage on insight checks to determine whether someone's lying. Can I roll insight on what Dreia is saying, that she has no idea how that earring got in there?
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead and roll it with advantage.
Okay. So Tess is going to kind of squint her eyes and stare at Dreia while she's trying to get a feel for whether or not she's lying.
Dreia seems to be telling the truth. She looks genuinely surprised and concerned by what's going on, and she doesn't seem shifty in any way.
Now hold on, Bagrim, hold on. Tess understands that Dreia is telling the truth, that she did not steal your earring. Now how it got into the lockbox, Tess is not sure.
She'd have to put it.
No, that's drawing very simple-minded conclusions. Tess is disappointed in you, Bagrim.
Go ahead and roll a... It's a good one. Let's say a persuasion check.
A persuasion? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead and roll a persuasion check. I'll also let you roll just a charisma check. Nice roll. Balgrim kind of backs down.
Puppy friend, can you please come here?
She's gonna squeeze in between the two to come over and sit beside Tess.
Now, Tess understands that canine friends have very good sense of smell. Do you smell any other people on this earring that could have placed it within the lockbox?
Does she have the earring out for her to smell?
Yeah, Tess is gonna pull it out, and she's gonna not lay it on her entire hand, but she's gonna hold it up with like 2 fingers, like holding it by the bar that goes through the ear.
Gross.
Ear cheese, yum.
Yeah, Iolanthe definitely kind of cringes at that a bit, but she leans in to sniff it. What would that be?
That would be an insight check, or I'm sorry, a perception check.
Okay, and this one's at advantage because it's smell, right?
That is correct.
Oops.
No, you did that right. Yeah, you don't smell anybody else on it.
What about the key that Dreia has? Does she have it in her hand still?
Yeah, she does.
Can I give that one a sniff as well?
Sure. It smells like Dreia, but it also smells like food. which is kind of weird.
Food, huh?
In fact, it's like beef, which is kind of weird because you guys don't have any beef on board that you're aware of.
Beef.
Yeah, it smells like beef. It smells like beef.
Iolanthe kind of
Smells like
tilts.
beef.
Can you follow the trail of the
Yeah, I was
beef
about to say,
smell to
kinda
see where
tilts
it's
her head
located?
in a very confused fashion and starts sniffing around like the floor and the air, trying to see where the source of that could possibly be coming from.
Immediately gone. Can't smell it.
Who?
Yeah, as soon as you're away from that key, it doesn't smell like that.
Okay. I still think Rec can speak to animals, so I'm gonna run over to him and start barking at him, like, furiously. Or not furiously, but, like, a lot.
Oh, you heard her, Rip. Dog runs up. Bark, 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 bark.
Rick continues to look down. Looks up at Tess. I don't know. I don't know what she's saying.
Iolanthe bites him on the butt. No, I'm just kidding. She kind of comes back over to the key and, like, tries to get a better sniff, but just can't quite figure out what's going on. But it definitely smells like there's something off about it, right?
It just does not seem right to Tess. Dreia has no idea how this got in here. The only things that Tess knows that is going on currently is Santigus, my friend, you have a secret admirer. Do you tend to hang out with Dreia a lot? Tess has not been part of this ship or this crew for very long.
Well, we are friends. I mean, we've known each other a long time.
Now, Tess is not too familiar with human drama, but could somebody be trying to frame Dreia to get her out of the way?
Now, why would that be the case?
I'm just kind of like sniffing everybody to see who smells like meat.
Bagram follows you. I'm sorry, Bagram steps up to you and sort of leans into you and he says, "Isn't it obvious that she took the earring?"
Tess already had this discussion with you, my friend. You may have your earring back. Congratulations. But Tess really does not think Dreia is at fault here.
And are you intending to the person that's at fault?
Honestly, outside of answering who done it, Tess does not see much of a reason to find out who did it or who did not. You got your earring back. What more do you want?
Justice. His eyes narrow to these slats in his face.
My friend, you need therapy.
Iolanthe's hackles raise up and she growls a little bit.
You got your
Although-
earring back. We are just now starting on our journey. If the thievery keeps up, surely we will catch them red-handed with time.
Valphalin steps up behind Dreia and peers over them at you, Tess. I'm actually inclined to agree with Bagram on this one. I think it is important that we find out who done it, as you so eloquently put it. We cannot allow this crime to go without some sort of repercussion. I don't believe in corporal punishment, as it were, but In the very least, we should know who committed this act.
Well, do you have any leads? Does anybody else besides Tess even have any leads here?
Yeah, I'm kind of inclined to agree with Tess here, honestly, because in the first place, hasn't, it hasn't been that long since we've left. We're all going to be on this ship, and we're just trying to make this journey. If thievery is going to be something that we have to settle up with, then we have to be aware that there's nowhere to go but the sea.
So, Tess, looking down at Dreia, you can see like tears sort of forming on the sides of her eyes, and she looks up at you and like tugs on your robe.
Do you have something to say?
I talk to you, she says very quietly.
Yes, of course. Let's find someplace a little bit more private. Perhaps
She
over this
follows
way,
you.
into this hallway.
So she slips around the corner with you. As she does that, you can hear Bogram just behind you, and you probably all hear this. Everyone who's within earshot. He sort of spins around in place and goes,
What a man-child.
I'm gonna go ahead and ping this to you, Tess, and it'll be up to you to kind of communicate this as you see fit. It's probably from around the corner. You guys hear the occasional sort of gasp. It sounds like somebody is probably crying.
Okay, well, hearing what Dreia has to say around the corner, Tess is just going to nod her head and try to provide some comfort to her. She tells Dreia, don't worry, Tess is sure we'll figure this all out. It's just very complicated right now.
As this is going down, two of the crew members just suddenly kind of leave the area. Adam and another crew member who I don't think you've met them yet. They just go downstairs.
Stay here if you need to get yourself back together. But Tess is feeling like she needs a drink after all of this. And she kind of excuses herself from the hallway and heads back to where Bogram is. Would you like to hold on to your earring, or would you like Tess to conduct further investigations?
He reaches out as though he's about to snatch the earring from you. He looks rather irritated. He snatches the earring and storms back off to the room and to his corner, where he lays back in bed, putting the earring into his ear.
I'm gonna look to Tess and say, so we probably will need to separate these two so they can't be in the same room.
Perhaps that's something that we should report to Antarius.
Santigas passes by you, and as he brushes by you, he says, "She all right?"
If Tess could have a word with you real quick.
All right.
Just down the hallway, I guess. I'm gonna pull everyone down into separate areas here. Okay, so.
Wow, on this edition of the CW.
Right.
Dreia is still just across the way, and she's kind of like covering her face, kind of standing with her back turned toward you.
Tess doesn't really care if Dreia hears, obviously, or I would have pulled Gus elsewhere. But Tess is gonna lean over and say, "Is there anyone aboard this ship you are aware of who maybe have a personal vendetta against Dreia, or even yourself?" Tess does find it oddly curious that you are getting these letters of admiration from somebody, yet also at the same time somebody is trying to frame Dreia. Somebody who's as sneaky enough to reach in and put some letters under your bed might also be sneaky enough to try and frame somebody.
That is a good point. I never really thought about it like that. I really thought this was just kind of some harmless... Well, I suppose you might be right.
As Tess has learned in previous years, oftentimes admiration can turn into infatuation, can turn into obsession, and next thing you know, that person wants to wear your skin. So it's pretty important for us to figure out who is behind all of this. Do you have any kind of booby traps you can set up in your room at nighttime to possibly help ID somebody who may be sneaking in?
Now, but wait, now you're talking about laying traps for people.
Not harmful traps, just something, some paint over the door or some charcoal on your door frame if somebody were to sneak in and get the charcoal on their clothes.
I don't really know how I would do that without alerting the person that came in, and then if we don't catch them in the act, it seems like it wouldn't be a very good trap. You follow?
Tess does follow. It's just about how we're going to handle figuring this out. Maybe you swap to a different room and Tess sleeps in your stead?
Now, let me make something real clear, if I may, and I don't mean any kind of offense to you or your friends when I say this, but it wasn't Dreia. I know Dreia, and it was not Dreia.
Tess knows. Tess is in agreement with you.
Well, I felt like it was very important to me that I let you know that I think that.
What is important to Tess right now, and she kind of reaches forward and like boops him on the nose, is that we find out who is sneaking into your room at nighttime. Now, can Tess sleep in your bed?
Can you roll an intimidation check?
Yes. She wasn't trying to intimidate, she was just trying to boop him on the nose.
Nope, just go on.
Okay. Now, Tess's idea here is if maybe Tess sleeps in your bed and does really well with staying up at nighttime, maybe she can catch that person in the act.
You wanna wait?
You sleep in my room and I sleep in your room.
I don't know if that's I don't know if that's proper, ma'am.
No, you misunderstand. Tess does not want to sleep with you. Tess wants to sleep in your bed. Without you. You will be in a completely different room, but Tess is going to bundle up in your bed, act as if she is you, and then when that person sneaks into the room, maybe Tess can see.
All right. I'll agree to your plan.
Perfect. Tonight, Tess sleeps in your bed, and you sleep in a completely different room. Tess actually does not remember which room is her own. Just whatever bed you can find that's open.
The bar.
No sooner do you actually
The
finish
bar.
that sentence than Dreia actually walks over and, still kind of like crying, she kind of glomps onto Santigus and she cries into his shoulder.
Tess definitely takes notice of that closeness that they have, which to her is further supporting that the secret admirer might be involved here. Again, Tess could use a drink. Think over Tess's offer, and we will see you at the end of the day. And Tess is going to take off.
As you come around the corner, Valphalin steps forward. What happened?
It's really a lot to explain. Let us go catch a drink at the tavern.
Indeed. At this point, it's probably about, it's getting toward the latter part of the day. I'm going to change the lighting as such. Whoop, that is not the right. That's the right one. Okay. Ship is probably the most beautiful in the dusk hours. There's low lighting on board, and it's really brings out the firelight, which reflects off the ocean in a very special kind of way. Phalan's going to accompany you down to the down below deck. Phalan hops over the bar and sort of starts, pulling out various little kegs and things like that. Coming down, I see Rek coming down to the down below deck.
Rek comes down, sits at the bar. It's like, all right, I'm completely lost at what is going on, but I'm here for y'all.
Antarius steps forward from the stairs. He wipes some sweat from his brow and takes a seat at the bar. Well, this is a treat. In our years together, I don't think I've ever seen you behind a bar, friend. Well, I am a man of constant study. Let's say. He continues about his business. Iolanthe, are you also coming down?
Ever since getting a sniff of the key and not knowing what that smell is, it's driving her crazy, so she's trying to find desperately the source of it, so she starts her investigation in the kitchen where the most food smells seem to be coming from.
There are all kinds of different foods about the upper galley here. You know that the majority of the food stores on the ship are going to come from the cargo bay. However, there is a good selection here, but none of it is beef.
Okay. Where is the next one? Is that where the bar is?
Well, there are various crates around the ship. You think if you would have got from where you were, you probably would have smelled something as strong and as delicious as beef being in any of the crates on the mid-level. So the most likely candidate will be the cargo deck, which is the lowest deck on the ship that you're able to go to.
Okay.
Precisely. So the rooms that surround the bar are all cargo facilities.
So I go down to the bar, but I don't even pay attention to anybody. I'm just sniffing at all the doors, anything that even looks like it could smell like food.
What the dog doing?
Probably it's hungry.
Whose dog is that even?
Well, more importantly, what happened with the cat?
Oh yes. Tess is sure we scared the wits out of that kitty after, Miscu grappling it and all.
Which cat?
The one with the
I've
weird
seen at
eye.
least 3.
Just like the dog.
Iolanthe is sniffing at these two crewmates.
Nothing seems out of the ordinary.
Just continues on down the way then.
Now,
The crewmate to the south is someone that you haven't really formally been introduced to yet. She appears to be a sort of... she's a half-elf. Sorry. See what if I can get her some there. So she's sort of on the younger side. She is quite short. She's just under 4 feet tall. Oh no, I'm sorry. Yeah, she's a halfling, not a half-elf.
Oh. Does she smell like beef?
She didn't smell like beef, no.
Oh, then I don't care. Keep it going.
I smell like beef.
Yeah,
Smell like-
Iolanthe is like very hyper focused on trying to find the source of that weird smell.
Go ahead and roll an investigation check, Iolanthe.
For what?
For your investigation into each of these rooms.
Oh, oops.
Try as you might, you
I'm-
cannot.
I'm
Pick
glad
up
I
on
didn't actually mean to roll
Intimidation.
intimidation because that was not very intimidating.
Oh, sorry, that was, yeah.
That's more like
Hey,
it.
yo!
Wow, just critting today like crazy.
Try as you might, you cannot find the scent of beef
Oh, come
among
on.
the entire cargo deck.
That was a whole last 20, really?
But you could see how if it was a 1 and you would have got the same outcome, that would have changed the entire flow of this section. But no. You investigate the crap out of this entire area and you cannot pick up the scent of beef.
Okay, so Iolanthe gives like this frustrated ruff and comes over and flops down really dejectedly on the floor beside Tess.
Angie puppy.
Oh, Tess is feeling the exact same way. This is very tiring and a waste of energy.
Indeed, it seems you all are working in circles. Can I get you something to drink? Perhaps some food?
Do you have any mashed potatoes?
I'm sure we have something in the stores.
Tess could definitely go for some potatoes.
Mindharius looks at you. Harsh pipe.
Smells like
Mashed-
it.
Mashed potatoes sounds good. Actually, I think I'll have some too. And
Also, your biggest mug of ale.
ale it is. I think I'll have one myself. And in fear for you.
No. No, I'm fine.
Wreck?
Oh yeah. Keep it coming.
He steps over and, starts doing his thing. He hops over the bar at one point and pokes his head into one of the cargo rooms. Comes out a little bit later with a big load. It's in like a big towel. And he's carrying like a few potatoes and he throws them into a pot of water that is just started to boil. Miscu, what are you up to? It's like late day.
I think you're muted, Miscu.
Sorry, I had to clear a frog out of my throat. So yeah, Misku has been just up top deck, mindlessly swinging her club, not really noticing that it's now dark outside. Exhausted, arms hanging to her side, begins to drag her way down below for something to eat, something to drink. Whoop.
Where did that other guy go? I feel like I'm missing one, dude. Where? I am. Oh my! Let me drag him back in. Sorry about that. Cool. Misku, you come downstairs. It seems like the rest of the party is congregated in this room.
So Misku stumbles down the stairs, looking very disheveled, hair all over the place, drenched in sweat. Her barely be able to keep her eyes open and just kind of flops onto the bar.
Oops.
Does she stank now?
Yeah, she probably do be stanking of sweat.
And sea air.
Let's see. Okay. Three others come down the stairs and start to take up positions around tables, and one of the patrons who you might remember from last time, named Kildrak, approaches you from after he comes down the stairs. Misku. He steps up behind you and reaches over to the bar and goes, wait, what is his? He goes, I'll have a nail then, if you please. A sure thing. Coming right up. And he flips around, starts filling up glasses, hands one to Kildrak there. Kildrak approaches you, Misku, and once he takes a long swig from his drink, he says, now if you're interested, I've got another way that I could maybe make some of that money back.
Wait, huh?
He's obviously referring to the arm wrestling
Oh,
from before.
I didn't realize that was for money.
Yep, yeah, that was, well, perhaps it was, perhaps it wasn't. He seems to think otherwise.
Okay. So this is someone I defeated in arm wrestling earlier. All right. Misku will look over at him, just heave a very large sigh. Is there any kind of like food, any kind of anything small on the bar?
There's like bread and stuff.
Misku will grab a piece of bread, just shove it in her mouth, then roll up her sleeve and start like rotating her shoulder, and just say, "All right, if you need to learn your lesson again, let's go."
You're gonna need that mug there.
All right, Misku, confused but shrugs, grabs the mug.
Kildrak kind of once again reaches over toward the bar. He says, "Let me get a keg." Valvalen sort of rolls his eyes, takes out it's a table style keg, and he hands it over to Kildrak, who brings it over the table, and sets down. He gestures towards you, Misku, to take the seat in front of him. So on the table, in between the two of you, he places, let's see what he's got on hand. Say he places a gold piece. You in? It's pretty obvious that he's challenging you to a drink off.
All right. Misku will throw down her gold piece, but look very, very unamused the entire time.
He takes both the mugs in hand and he fills them up to the brim, sets one in front of you. He raises up his mug and he flashes this really wide grin. And he goes, "Cheers." Everybody starts to kind of lean into on the table looking at the two of you.
Woo! Go Misku! Tess is going to cheer for Misku.
And Misku pushes her stool out from underneath her, stands up with one hand on her hip and the other just holding the mug straight up in the air, just like water falling into her mouth.
Kildrak kicks his chair out from under him and he stands up at the table and he slams his mug on the table and then pulls it up to his mouth and starts guzzling it down. Go ahead and roll a Constitution check.
There it is.
This will be an ability check. Ooh.
I'm gonna use my inspiration today.
Very well.
Way
You
better.
have a 19. Excellent. So you take that first drink of ale. Ale goes down really smooth. It's a rather dark ale. It's very bitter and kind of foamy, and it's very good though. Kind of sits like a brick. Slowly, the other patrons of the bar at the moment, the other people sitting around, they all kind of lock on to what's going on with you. Things start to get a little bit rowdy. We're in that corner. You guys all hear this going on at the bar. Valphalin serves you each up an ale, and eventually has your potatoes prepped and sets them before you, Tess and Harry.
While all this is happening, Iolanthe comes over to all three of the newcomers and sees if they pass the beef test.
Go ahead and roll a perception check with advantage. Attempting to discern the smell of beef, the only thing that your keen senses can pick up is the smell of alcohol and bodily fluids of all varieties.
Yay. Wait, all varieties?
Yes.
Okay, so she crinkles her snoot, and then she comes back over to where Tess is, and kind of puts her front paws up on the bar and, like, borks.
After taking a huge swig of her ale, Tess is going to kind of, in a tipsy moment, tip her mug toward the pupper and say, "Here, puppy, do you want some?"
She laps at it.
Leaning over to Antarius, Tess asks, "Is it safe for dogs to drink ale?"
I'm not sure. There are not many texts on the care of animals, as it were.
Hmm.
Perhaps had I spent more time in Malia when I was there, perhaps I could have found some.
Leaning over, Rek, do you know is it safe for dogs to drink ale? I mean, it may be too late at this point.
Yeah, I was about to say, while she's talking to everybody, Iolanthe is like snoot deep into the glass.
Meanwhile, Val, can Tess get another mug, please?
Indeed.
Yep.
He fills up another mug and sets it before you. Antarius turns to you in fear and he says, his cheeks kind of rosy after drinking about half a glass of his ale. He looks at you, he says, do you get many of the druidic followings around Shopapin?
I mean, they mostly keep to themselves, especially with the Jindu. But I mean, Shopabin is a large town, and eventually they do need to come in, whether it's to barter for things to try to grow, or even just the food that they sometimes need for their sustenance.
At the mention of the word druidic, Yolanthe's eyes get big and she like sputters into the glass a bit and is like
He says, where I'm from, Amajokia, most of our leaders and definitely most of the leadership there are druidic, which is why I ask.
Well, there definitely were some who contributed to the great library in Shopabin.
Never been to the library. I've only passed through Shopabin, but I've seen the great building in the distance, and oh, it's beautiful. Kildrag reaches over and once again grabs your mug, fills it up to the top with this foamy liquid, and he looks up at you intently. Are you already done?
Miscu lets out a sizable burp and flashes a mischievous grin, and stating, all right, big man, I've never seen someone so excited to lose. Keep him coming.
He drinks down the liquid. Miscu, you swig this entire drink down. The liquid starts to kind of pour down the sides of your face, and as you guzzle as quickly as possible, you start to feel your cheeks burning. Not like a fiery kind of burning, but they're definitely warmer than the rest of you. However, you are secure in the knowledge that your skin is very red, and he probably can't tell that you're blushing. He, on the other hand, is clearly starting to feel the effects himself. Antarius says to you, Ian Fear, did you frequent the library?
Oh, library was my sanctuary, or my guide, especially when I tried to get into the great schools.
Tried?
Well, I came really close, and then there was an incident, and I was told to come back another time, preferably when I had another 100 years on my life.
An incident, is it? What kind of incident was it?
I mean, so I. Okay, so I was really excited, and as occasion has produced, if I get really excited, sometimes the wild magic just gets a little too wild, and I may have transformed one of the testers into a squirrel or another small animal. I can't remember at this point.
As you speak this, Antarius is like mid-swig of a beer, and he places the thing down and goes... a rainbow mist, and just kind of... in the air in front of him. Valphalin sort of dodges it, takes a sidestep. He locks eyes with you, Miscu, and appears rather relieved that he didn't get showered.
And I told them too, look, that is only an added bonus. I'm already this powerful. Now just imagine what I could do if I could actually control it. But no, they didn't want to listen.
Interesting. Well, I, for one, am glad you're on board.
Tess thinks you're very talented.
You were able to make everyone vanish on the ship earlier. I'm unsure if that was your actual intentions, however.
Yeah, sometimes in the heat of the moment I get an idea and, I focus so much on that idea that I forget to take a breath and calm down, or else everyone disappears, or occasionally it's been I create things out of nothing. It's just, it doesn't always go right. I just have to. I need to find some way to calm it down.
Miscu, Kildrak refills both of your mugs. Puts his mug on the table, and it looks like he kind of is doing his best to sort of steady himself against it. But he locks eyes with you, this big, big grin on his face. He appears to be very much enjoying himself. And as he does that, Turid, who's sitting next to you, the rather strong-looking... You a dwarf? I believe you're a dwarf. Yes, dwarf from before. Places another gold on top of the pile in the center of the table.
At the addition of gold clattering down, Miscu gets like a childlike glint in her eye, and a smile flashes across her face. She's getting visibly excited. Using thaumaturgy, you're gonna see like a visible flame start to flicker in her eyes excitedly.
The dwarf looks up at you with kind of across her eye patch. She grins widely. She gestures at your mug. Kildrak starts to lean back as he chugs down the ale. Go ahead and roll another Constitution check. You're both kind of starting to feel a bit rickety on your own legs. Slam your mugs down and make eye contact with one another. Kildrak immediately laughing. He's obviously having a blast right now.
Misku, just flashing another mischievous grin, just starts motioning for the next one.
He kind of tries to keep his feeding and reaches into his pocket and places another, we'll call it 10 silver, on top of the pile. Across from you, and sitting next to Kildrak, there is again, the girl, halfling, who also reaches across, swigs her own ale, and tosses another 10 silver on the pile, making the entire thing 3 gold, 20 silver.
And Misku will match the silver.
Misku places down 10 more silver, making 3 gold, 30 silver. Let me see what we got. Okay. Galphalin approaches you, Greg. He kind of leans over the bar. Do you miss home, friend?
Rek looks up at him, wipes away the foam from the last drink, and it's like, I hadn't put much thought into it. We've been so busy as of late, I hadn't had time to be missing home. Seems like adventure is it's quite suiting to me.
I agree. Although I felt myself a bit of an imposter for some time when I set out from home. But after a time, I didn't miss it any longer. I felt more at home on the roads and the sea than I ever did in the monastery.
Well, this traveling by boat's new to me, but I've always been on the move. Just how I spend my life, just traveling with one family or another. Takes another drink.
Iolanthe, what are you up to?
Well, like I said, after Antarius was mentioning druids, she got kind of like sputtery in the cup and kind of ducked back down beside the counter and starts kind of wiping some of the foam off of her muzzle with her paw.
You definitely feel the effects of this, this alcohol. What can I say? You start to kind of feel warm all over. Not necessarily hazy, though. You definitely haven't had that much. One last time, Kildrak, actually, once again, Kildrak raises up his mug, freshly filled for each of you. And he looks over at the pile, and he looks at you, and once again his face grows into that stupid grin, and he cocks his head back and pours the liquid down his throat. Go ahead and roll another Constitution check as you do the same.
In response, Misku's gonna hike her leg up on a chair, Captain Morgan style, and throw this one back. Oh.
Misku, you're definitely feeling the effects of this drink as you sort of cock back and go ahead and roll a dexterity save. You almost trip over your own feet and would have landed on your butt, but luckily, just in time, you catch yourself and stabilize yourself against the table. You start to feel very dizzy, and it seems as though while the room is not necessarily spinning, you're definitely feeling like your legs are becoming jello. You look at Kildrak, and it's very plain to see that he is about at the same in the same place as you are. He kind of steadies himself, leaning over the table, and he goes, "Ah, you can hold your alcohol," and he's pointing at you with this wide grin and these little slats for eyes. Good on you. I knew you were a sturdy sort.
I can hold my alcohol and yours too, old man. Let's keep going.
I bet that is. He starts to fill up the mugs one more time. Guys, that's about all the time we've got for today. We'll pick this up next time. See the, it seems like we're getting pretty close to the end of the arc with the thief, and as well, possibly the end of this epic story arc of the drinking competition between Misku and Kildrak. But we'll pick it up next time. I hope to see you guys there next Sunday, 5 to 7 p.m. Central Time on the VGpunx channel. Please join us. Otherwise, keep an eye on my Twitter and stuff like that for updates and personal stuff and blah, blah, blah. As always, I am your most gracious DM, VGpunx, and I'm signing off. Keep a song in your heart.
Bye.
Bye.